Yo, what's going on YouTube? My name is Louiee and welcome back to the channel. Last weekend we had the Pokemon Oceania International Championships, and today's deck showcase features the deck that got second place at that event. Oddly enough, this video is going to be going live on YouTube the day of Collinsville Regionals, so maybe this deck may see some, if not a lot of play based on the placing it held at the Oceania International Championship. So the deck we are covering is Zoroark GX with Lycanroc GX and Lucario GX as support. So it's always interesting seeing Lucario pop up in lists here and there. Let's check it out. So of course, Zoroark is the main focus. We are playing a 4-4 line. Zoroark GX, 210 HP. Ability is Trade. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. Righteous Beating for 2 colorless does 20 times. This attack does 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play. So 6 total if you fill up your entire bench and everything. Trickster GX is really unimportant. We're not going to be using this. We're not going to focus on this. Has a 2 retreat cost, resists Psychic, and has weakness to fighting. But pesky Zapdos and Pikachu and Zekrom are running around, so we need some form of way to fight that. So let's start off with Lycanroc. So we're playing 2 copies of Rockruff. Then we're playing 2 copies of Lycanroc GX. 200 HP, Fighting type. Bloodthirsty Eyes is the ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, that means any Pokemon. This will be important. We'll cover that in a little bit as well. During your turn, you may switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, so it's a built-in Lysander effect ability. Claw Slash is the first attack for 1 fighting, 2 colorless, does 110. Dangerous Rogue GX, 1 fighting, 1 colorless, does 50 times for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It is weak to grass and it has a 2 retreat cost, no resistance. Then we are playing Lucario, and this is where it's going to get interesting. So 2 copies of Riolu. Cool, nothing wrong there. And then 2 copies of Lucario GX. 210 HP, fighting type of course. Aura Strike for 1 fighting, does 30 base damage. If this Pokemon evolved from Riolu, this is the keyword right here, from Riolu, during this turn, this attack does 90 more damage. And the reason why I bring this up is because we do play Ditto Prism Star in this deck. You can't evolve Lucario from Ditto Prism Star and expect to hit 120 with Aura Strike. It specifically says Riolu, so you guys got to keep in mind with that. Cyclone Kick is the second attack for 2 fighting, 1 colorless, does 130 damage. And Cantankerous Beatdown GX does 30 times for each damage counter on this Pokemon for 2 colorless, which is really cool. Weak to Psychic, no resistance, and a 2 retreat cost. Aura Strike doing 120 is going to be doing a lot of damage. I think since Pikachu Zekrom is weak to fighting type, should be able to do the 220 enough to knock it out. I believe we also do run other damage modifiers in the form of, well, first off, Diancie Prism Star, 120 HP, fighting type. Only here for the ability as long as this Pokemon is on your bench. Your fighting Pokemon's attack do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. So, of course, that's the damage modifier that we're talking about. It'll help boost their Lycanroc and Lucario damage output, knocking out those big tag teams that are, of course, weak to fighting type. Other support cards we're playing, of course, is the Ditto Prism Star I mentioned. Here for the ability Almighty Evolution. Once during your turn before you attack, put any stage 1 Pokemon from your hand onto this Pokemon to evolve it. You can't use this ability during your first turn or the turn this Pokemon was put into play. So this is important because we play Zoroark GX, Lucario GX, Lycanroc GX, and Alolan Muck. So we can easily go into it that way. We are playing Alolan Muck, 120 HP, Psychic typing. Power of Alchemy is the ability each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no ability. So the reason for Alolan Muck is to try to stop Jirachi's abilities or Ranguru abilities, things of that nature, to make sure that, you know, we have an easier time taking care of those decks. Then we're playing Absol, 100 HP. Here for the ability Dark Ambition. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, its retreat cost is colorless more. So this is important because Jirachi, like I mentioned, tends to put on a skateboard to try to just retreat out of there for free. However, with it costing 1 more colorless, that skateboard is not going to be doing as much as it should. Like, it's not going to make things crucial. So we have this to run. So Absol and Alolan Muck both work as a little bit of a soft lock. towards Jirachi in some form or way. And then rounding off the Pokemon list, we're playing 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX, 170 HP. Wonder Attack is the ability you play it for. You play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, search your deck for a supporter, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. You can, however, attack with this Energy Drive for 2 colorless, 20 times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. Tapu Cure, not supplementary recovery, no weakness, no resistance, and it has a 1 retreat cost. So I like that. I like that a lot. Going into our supporter lineup, very, very interesting. We're starting off with Louiee. 4 copies of Louiee. Draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand, which is cool. Draw support is very, very crucial in this deck. 1 copy of Cynthia. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. 2 copies of Guzma. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active, and if you do, switch your active with one of your bench. 1 copy of Judge. Each player shuffles their hand into their deck and draws 4 cards. And then probably, actually, real quick. Malo, 1 copy. Search your deck for 2 cards. Shuffle your deck, then put those cards on top in any order. So kind of like a built-in cargo type thing, but for 2 cards. And then what I think is probably the most crucial supporter card this deck plays is a Zoroark. Put one of your Pokemon that has any damage counters on it and all the cards attached to it into your hand. Now, Zapdos can potentially, I say this very loosely, can potentially knock out a Zoroark GX, but they need the power of Electro Power and things like that. But if they can't knock out a Zoroark GX and put up a whole bunch of damage, it opens up the door for us to Ace Zoroark out of there and pretty much make sure that what they just did to our Zoroark was just all in vain and kind of wasted. So we are playing 2 copies of Ace Zoroark there. But that is the supporter lineup there. Stadiums, we're playing 1 copy of Wondrous Labyrinth. This attack, the attacks of non-fairy Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, cost colorless more. So this forces our opponent to attach an extra energy to make sure that their attacks go through. Now this does stop, our Pokemon as well. But the thing is, we don't really have to worry about that because, we have other stadiums. We want to make sure that our opponent can't do the damage to us first and foremost and go from there. I did mention other stadiums. We're playing 2 copies of Viridian Forest. Once during each player's turn, that player may discard a card from their hand. If they do, that player searches their deck for a basic energy, reviews it, and puts it into their hand. Then that player shuffles their deck. So we could just always replace Wondrous Labyrinth with Viridian Forest to pretty much get away from that. And of course, expect opponents to be playing Wondrous Labyrinth of their own because it's such a good stadium card. It forces a lot of people to start playing more stadium cards to kind of counter it, just because Field Blower is not going to touch it, stuff like that. Going into the item cards, we are starting off with 1 copy of Field Blower. Choose up to 2 in any combination of tool cards and stadium cards in play, and discard them. To me, to be honest, the most crucial thing you want to get rid of is probably buff padding. That's just me. I've seen it so much. I've seen how annoying it can be. I really don't want to face a Venusaur with 300 plus HP. So that's just personally me. 4 copies of Nest Ball. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. 1 copy of Pal Pad. Shuffle 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your deck. Very, very crucial, hence the reason why we play low counts of things like Guzma and Acerola. 3 copies of Pokemon Communication. Reveal a Pokemon from your hand and put it into your deck. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. This is very crucial because it pretty much, you may have a card in your hand that you don't want. Send it back into the deck and get the card that you do want. Usually getting things like another Zoroark GX or maybe a LUCARIO GX to take advantage of Bloodthirsty Eyes. And that 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, 2 different choices you can make. Put a Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, or shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Just really depends on the situation that you're in for you to take advantage of which one you need to do. 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then rounding out the items, we're playing 2 copies of Choice Band, a little bit more damage modifiers in the game. The attacks of this Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active GX or EX Pokemon before applying weakness and resistance. And then rounding out the list is, of course, the energy counts. We're playing 4 copies of Double Colorless Energy, of course, providing 2 energies there, and 4 copies of Basic Fighting Energy. But this deck is very, very fun to play. Zapdos Jirachi is probably a little bit more funner to play, if that's even a word. It's probably not even a word, but I think this was pretty good. It's a pretty cool list. It was here to fight the meta for this tournament. It was the first tournament that allowed team up in. So it was really interesting to see this. I thought this was really well done. And it played phenomenal during the tournament as well. But it looks like that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Make sure to drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think is going to win Collinsville. Is it going to be a repeat from Zapdos Jirachi, or is Pikachu Zekrom going to make it even higher on the list than what it did at Oceania? I don't know. Things could be, you know, Venusaur or Celebi could just pop up out of nowhere. Lost March could pop up out of nowhere. Let's see how things play out. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys later. Peace!